Hey team, this is part 2 of our final exam review video. This is problems 4 through 7 for 1 through 3. Check the last video. Here we go, number 4. It just says multiply, so we're going to multiply 3 times all of this. Notice how these are being added together, so this is a distribution situation. We're going to do the 3 times the 2x, that gives us 6x's. Then we're going to do the 3 times the 4, that gives us 12. Then we're done. We put a box around it because we have distributed our 3. Cool, moving on. Here's a FOIL situation with a binomial times a binomial. So we multiply the first terms together first. X times x is x squared. Then the outer terms, x times -7 is -7x. Then we focus on this 5, the inner terms. 5 times x is 5x. Then the, not that one, the last terms. 5 times -7 is -35. Almost done. We're going to combine like terms. So we have our x squared. And then here we have -7x's and a positive 5, so that's -2x's, and then -35 stays -35. C, it's the same thing, but we're leveling up again. So here's a single distribution. We distributed one value in. Here's a double distribution. We distributed 2 values in. Here's essentially a triple distribution if we were to switch the sides, because we're multiplying all 3 of these pieces by all of this. So just be extra careful in how you navigate this. I'm going to focus on the 4y first. So 4y times 2x. Well, 4 times 2 is 8. Y times x is xy. That's the first piece. Then it's 4y times 3y. 4 times 3 is positive 12. Y times y is y squared. Then 4y times -6. 4 times -6 is -24. And then we have the y there. Great. Now we're going to forget about the 4y. Focus on this -1. Please don't forget that it's negative. That's a key part of this puzzle here. -1 times 2x is -2x. Running out of room here, this is cool. -1 times 3y is -3y. And then -1 times -6 is +6. Okay, now the game is to combine like terms and list them in standard form. I'm going to deal with this one first because it has the highest power. So I have 12y squared. Now I'm looking at this, I have a single xy term. And so I'm going to deal with that one. We have plus 8xy. Now I'm going to look at our x's. We have -2x's right here. So that's this one is taken care of. Now here's where we have to combine things. I'm noticing there's -24y's here. And then there's -3 more of them. -24 minus 3 is -27y. And then the lone constant at the end. So the final product here, 12y squared plus 8xy minus 2x minus 27y plus 6. This is the correct order that these should be in. The highest power is out front, and then the kind of the more complicated part, it's got x times y. And then x and y, they have the same power. They're both raised to the same power, but x comes before y in the alphabet, so we put the x first. And then the constant is all by itself at the end. Okay, this is how I would tackle number 4 in doing this multiplication. Let's look at number 5. Use the table to write an equation. This is going to be a linear equation. So we're looking at a couple things. First, this is going to be in y equals mx plus b form. M is the slope or the rate of change. And b is the initial value, the y-intercept, or whatever the y is when x is 0. So if x is 0, then y is 1. That's what this is telling us. So our b value is this 1 right here. So when our y equals mx plus b, our b equals 1, still have to do a little bit of work to find our m, however. That's our rate of change. If x goes up by 1 each time, which it does, that's good news. If y goes up consistently each time, then we can definitely say what the slope is. So 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 6 is 13, plus 6 is this, plus 6 is 25, plus 6 is... Yeah, it looks like it's going up by 6 each time. So our m here is 6. So when we plug this into our equation, we have y equals 6x plus 1. So here's the equation. Great. Now A and B, notice how the first 3 words of both of these say use the equation. When grading these tests, so few people actually use the equation here. That's an issue. I'm going to show you how to use the equation. So use the equation to find y when x is 32. So if we have this equation, y equals 6x plus 1, and we're told that x equals 32, well then just substitute 32 in here for x. So y equals 6 times 32 plus 1. Well, 6 times 32 is not a number I have memorized, so I'm going to use my calculator. Hey, check it out. This one's not broken. We have 6 times 32. That is 192. So y equals 192 plus 1. 192 plus 1 is 193. So when x is 32, y equals 193. And I'm going to rewrite this to say y equals. Okay, now this one's coming at it from the other perspective. Use the equation to find the input if the output is 115. Well, input, output, that's not x and y, but it is. Input is always x, output is always y. So in this case, we are told to find the x if the y is 115. So again, we're using our equation, y equals 6x plus 1, but we know what y is. Y is 115. So 115 equals 6x plus 1. To solve, we'll subtract 1 from both sides, and we see that 114 equals 6x. Again, this is not something I have memorized, so I'm going to divide both sides by 6. 114 divided by 6 equals 19. So I'll show that work there. Divide by 6, divide by 6, x equals 19. So what that says is if our input is 19 into this equation, or I mean the same one, I have it 3 times. If we plug in 19, then the y value will be 115. Cool. Number 6. Diamond problems, it's been a minute. I wrote mine like X's, you can write yours like diamonds. It's the same thing, we're playing the same game. Remember, multiply the side values to get the top, add them together to get whatever's on the bottom. So in this case, 8 times 3 equals 24. That's where this number comes from. And then 8 plus 3 equals 11. That's where this number comes from. Notice how I showed my work here. Please do so. If you don't show your work here, you will not score well on this question on the final. There's not much work to be shown, but this is the work I need shown. I did it. You can do it too. Part B. Now it's a little bit different, but we know that this value, the one that I'm pointing to, times -4 equals 28. So we can kind of set this up as an equation if we choose. We can say -4 times x, that's whatever our unknown is, equals 28. And we see pretty quickly if we divide both sides by -4, then x equals, well, this goes in 5, 6, 7 times, -7 times. -7 times -4, well, negative times negative is a positive, 4 times 7 is 28. Boom, that one checks out, good news. Now we just add these together, -4 minus 7, -4 minus 7, well, that equals -11. Running out of space, my work is a little sloppy, but the work is there. That's all I'm asking you to show as well. This last one, I got x's, there's exponents, it's gonna be a little bit clunky. What we know is that these two numbers on the side need to multiply to -10x squared, they need to add up to -3x. So I'm pretty confident one of them is going to be positive, one of them is going to be negative, and they're both going to contain an x because x times x is what yields us our x squared. So I'm just going to kind of play around here and think of the numbers that multiply up to 10. In my mind, I'm thinking of 5 and 2. 5 and 2. So what if we had something like a 2x and maybe something like a -5x? Let's just check it out. 2 times -5, that's -10, that's good news, we're on the right track. X times x is x squared, cool, that works out. But we haven't necessarily solved it yet, we're not necessarily done. These two values also have to add up to what's on the bottom, so let's confirm. 2x minus 5x, or 2x plus a -5x, that's saying the same thing 2 different ways, does indeed equal -3x. That's good stuff. Okay, so we've done it. Let's show a little bit of work, however. So we could say that 2x times 5x times -5x equals -10x squared. Gross, that's sloppy, sorry. And if we add them together, 2x minus 5x equals -3x. That's all the work, that's all the process I need shown, but I need to see the process, otherwise I just have to assume you're a good guesser, and I can't give you math credit for being a good guesser. Okay, last one, number 7. If f of x equals 3x minus 7, and g of x equals x squared plus 4x minus 5, then we have these a, b, and c. Find f of 4, find g of -3, find x if f of x is 28. Okay, f of 4, that means we're going to focus on our function whose name is f. We don't care about the function whose name is g right now, just the function whose name is f. So if f of x equals 3x plus 7, then f of 4 equals 3 times 4 minus 7. So this is just like the quadratic problem from the last video, but shorter and quicker. So now we just PEMDAS it. 3 times 4 is 12, minus 7 is 5. So f of 4 equals 5. Let's find g of negative 3. Now we care about the function named g, we don't care about the function named f. So g of negative 3 is negative 3 squared plus 4 times negative 3 minus 5. Negative 3 squared. Well, negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. 4 times negative 3, that's negative 12, minus 5 is minus 5. 9 minus 12 is negative 3. Negative 3 minus 5, I'm pretty sure that's negative 8. So g of negative 3 equals negative 8. G of negative 3 equals negative 8. Cool. Find x if f of x is 28. Okay, so this is a little bit different, but first things first. We're only talking about f of x. G of x is not mentioned, so we no longer care about g of x for anything. We're just going to do f of x. And we're told that f of x equals 28. So this is f of x. So we're going to say, instead of writing f of x, we're going to write 28. So we know that 28 equals 3x minus 7. So do you see what we did there? It's just some substitution. If f of x equals 28, that means f of x, we're not even going to write the f of x. We're just going to write 28 because we're told that it equals 28. And then we're going to solve for x. So we'll add 7 to both sides. We'll see that 35 equals 3x. Then we'll divide both sides by 3. And we're going to get a fraction here, 35 thirds. There it is. That's the remainder of your final review guide. Make sure all this ends up in your notebook. It's all fair game as long as it's in your notebook. If the little half sheet of piece of paper ends up in your notebook, cool. Just make sure it makes sense to you. Just writing this stuff down mindlessly, and if it doesn't make sense to you, it's not going to be helpful at all. So ask me when you have time in class. Ask me before the final. Work on it this weekend. Come to Saturday school. Whatever it is that you need, make sure the information is in your notebook, but more importantly, that you understand how to read and how to use that information. All right, you got this.